you lovely lot. I hope you're all well. Welcome back to my Vice. Today we are going to be tying a variation of the black pennel, which is a traditional English wet fly pattern. It's been around for years. It was originally tied by Henry Cholmondeley Pennel, who lived from 1837 to 1913. English poet, author, wrote a lot about fishing and other sports. And he came up with this fly, I believe. It's relatively simple to tie. And over here in the UK, it imitates midges hatching off. I've had tremendous success on this on very large still waters and small still waters when there are obviously midges coming off. Bizarrely, it's not fished as much as it probably should be. The old patterns tend to be the best ones, and this is an old one. And I'm going to show you how to tie it. And it's relatively simple, as I say. In the hook, I have a Togens wet fly. It's a size 12. I would recommend size 14 or 16 for this fly. I'm doing a 12 for the benefit of the video, just so that you guys can see it a bit better. The tail is golden pheasant tippet. Lovely colour feather, that. The body is black thread of your choice. The rib, because it's a pearly pennel, is pearl mylar. The original rib was silver wire, but as I say, I'm blinging this up slightly. Thorax, the prism dubbing from Togens in light olive, fabulous colour, lots of sparkle, just adds to the pearly nature of this fly. And then the hackle is just some black hen. So off we go. First of all, you need to catch the thread on just behind the eye. I like to leave a little gap so that I know where my head is going to go, and so I don't crowd the eye at the end, because let's face it, we've all been there. And then you want to lay down a nice body of touching turns of black thread, and as the thread is going to be the body, you do want to take your time and make sure that that's relatively even. We don't want any lumps and bumps. Fish might not care, I do. And then you take your thread to a point, either where the bend starts, just opposite the barb, that sort of thing. Right. Golden pheasant tippet. This is one of those feathers where you don't pull it 90 degrees from the stem to line up the tips, because as you can see, the tips are already lined up. There's two lovely black bars, so you just snip off the amount of feather that you need. So I'm going to do that now. There we go. Take out that bit, because I don't want that. There we go. Right. And you're left with that. And then it's just a question of pinching it together, lining up the tips as best you can. Got a couple that are sticking out there. And lining up those tips, give them a knock if there's two that are misbehaving. I'm just going to take those out. So you've got the tips lined up, and then you can tie it in. And you want the body, you want the tail to be about the length of the hook shank. And that second black bar with golden pheasant tippet is usually where that is for a size 10 or 12 or 14, to be honest. It's just whereabouts in the second black bar you tie it. But once you've done that, take your thread up to the eye to tie all this down, because we are making the body after all. Make sure the excess doesn't roll around the side, because you do want a nice even looking body. There we go. And then snip off your excess that's sticking out the front. Tidy that up with a turn, and then back down we go, touching turns again. But before we do that, we are going to tie in our rib. And this, as I say, any mylar of your choice, pearl, ice blue, whatever. As I don't know where I got this one from, and it's sadly close to running out, but whilst I've got it, I'll use it. You want to tie it on your side of the hook. Just pull it outside slightly so that the thread wraps slip down and are more or less touching. And then when you get to the tie-in point of the tail, put your mylar that has a life of its own into your material clip. Just finish off tying it in until you're happy. Probably there. And then go right back up with your thread. Nice touching turns. Take your time, because this is the final time for the body. Please shout if you see I've missed something. There you go, nice and steady, take your time, missed a bit. And then when you reach the end, I like to stick a whip finish in just to save my work. You know, if everything goes wrong, I know it's not going to come unravelled. There we go. Quick whip finish, shorten the thread up. Bring it back here slightly. Right, now we're going to rib the fly. Don't need many, 2 or 3 maximum. It's slippy stuff, so just there you go, told you. Just be mindful of that fact. And you want nice, slippery stuff. Nice, even touching turns. Is that even? Oh, my life. There, that's better. If it's getting unruly, put your finger on top to make sure that it starts behaving itself, and then bring your thread over 2 or 3 times just to tie it off. Whoopsie, don't want that. A couple of turns in front, and as it's slippery, make sure you do tie it off properly, and then snip it as close as you dare. There we go. As you can see, I've left a little bit of a scab end there, which I'm just going to cover up, but we have dubbing coming, which covers everything. Right, thorax time, the prism dub. Lovely stuff, lots of sparkle, easy to use, but you want a relatively thin dubbing noodle, which isn't difficult with this stuff, to be fair. So we're just going to put that on. There we go. You can always, it's that age-old adage with dubbing, you can always add more, it's harder to take it off once it's on. So start really thin. Once it's caught like that, I like to give it a spin when it's on, just to tighten it up. Means it goes where I want it to go when I'm doing thoraxes. There we go. Perfect. And you want a little bit of a bump behind the feather. There you go. Give that tighten up again. If you can hear any noise in the background, out of my window there's a class full of school children going on a trip, and they're just stood at the side of the road waiting to cross it. There we go, so you've got your thorax. It's now time to prep the hen feather, but first of all, just got to wax my thread, because the last thing I want is that feather, slipping out whilst I'm tying it, because that would be jolly annoying. And we're going to tie this hen feather in by the tip, and to do that, I'll do this and then I'll show you. You literally open your hackle pliers and get the hen feather by the tip, and then draw all of those the fibres from the feather back from the head, from the tip of the feather. So they stick out 90 degrees basically. And what that does, I will show you, just creates a little tie-in point there that you offer up to the hook. Shorten that thread a bit, make it a bit more manageable. Offer that up to the hook, and allows you to catch it down. Okay, you then need to, without snipping your thread, snip off the bits that's sticking forward of the eye, and you're literally good to go. Get your hackle pliers, grab the top end of the hen, and then what you need to do, without pulling too hard, you can still pull it out, lick your fingers, draw all those fibres back. We're effectively double hackling here, and we are going to be, what this does is it helps us lay the stem of the feather, the rachis it's called, onto the hook shank, and minimises the number of fibres that point forwards. It doesn't eradicate them, as you can see, but it just minimises them. And if you keep doing that, keep drawing them back every turn, you get a nice hackle that's going to be easier to tie off. Right, I'm going to use the entirety of this feather. You can choose whether you have a sparsely wrapped pennel or a fully wrapped pennel. Just the number of wraps of the feather, basically. It's up to you. I like mine slightly fuller. I've trapped a couple of fibres there, I'll deal with that in a minute. So I've done 2 turns behind the feather. We're then going to draw everything back without skewering your finger on the hook. Two turns in front, move your thread, snip off the excess feather, And then it's just a question, really, of tidying up. You can see the stragglers at the front, which nobody likes, frankly. So you lick your fingers and try as best you can. Right, they're not coming away, so I'm going to snip. There's 2 there I'm snipping off. 1, 2. Okay, if it's sticking out, bind down the excess stem and then create a noticeable but not massive head of black thread. There we go, I'm happy with that. Whip finish. You don't need too many turns here because we're going to varnish the head as well. 1, 2, 3, perfect. Pull that tight, snip off your thread, and that's it. The fly is finished. As I say, we're just going to varnish the head for security. You could use resin if you want to. No biggie as far as I'm concerned. I don't have mine to hand, so I'm just going to use a dab of... Oops, that's too much. A dab of varnish on a dubbing needle. Try not to touch the feather fibres, because hen moves nicely in the water. You touch that with resin or varnish, when that sets they will not move at all. And that's it. The Pearly Pennel. Give it a go. Let me know how you get on. All the materials you can probably find on Togens' site. They have mylar, they have the prison dub because it's theirs, they have the hooks. Find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook. Let me know how you get on. I'd be really interested to hear. If you need any help, reach out, give me a shout. I am happy to offer any hints and tips that I can. That's it from me for now. I'll see you next time. Thanks.